This next video, we're going to start looking at the workspace of InDesign, some of the tools, some of the pop-up windows, and kind of just the navigation of InDesign and the workflow and the user experience of it. So if you're unfamiliar with Adobe products, this might look totally brand new to you, but if you're familiar with, say, Photoshop or Illustrator, there's going to be a lot of similarities, so it's going to be a little bit simpler. But basically, once you open up InDesign, you should see, at least if you're in the newer versions of the application, you should see this window pop up. If it isn't popped up, it's okay. If it just looks like you have your file tab at the top here, don't worry. You can just go New Document, and that pop-up window, another pop-up window will appear. But if I just quit it and I show you again, cancel that and quit that, quit InDesign, and the computer is going to be slow. Actually, I'm going to go here, yeah. And I apologize ahead if you hear any dogs barking or kids screaming or something kind of comes up that's a little noisy. I am doing this in my basement, so it's invariable that something will disturb me at one point. And is InDesign going to load? Yep, slowly. What's happening? Just thinking about it. Also, as a caveat here too, I'm obviously working on a Mac. If you're working on a PC, there's going to be a few slight variations or differences in how you kind of navigate to the application. Specifically, if we're using control keys or command option hotkeys, there's going to be a few different variations. So I'll try to remember to highlight those. I don't always remember what they are off the top of my head because I'm so used to working with the Mac platform, but hopefully I'll remember. All in all, most of the time it's just going to be the difference between a command or a control button. They call them command in Macs and control in PC, and they're just the same, basically the same button on your keyboard. So again, this is when you open up InDesign, the application. This is what you see. You'll see this pop-up window, and it just kind of gives you a selection. If you scroll down, you can kind of see your last open files. You have the ability to create a new file there, open an existing folder. Very much similar to the menu, the top menu control here as well. InDesign and all Adobe products basically give you at least three different ways to do exactly the same thing. So I will highlight most of them as we go along. I have gotten quite accustomed to using maybe one particular one. I like to work very fast, so I often use control buttons or hotkeys. But there's always going to be at least three different ways, sometimes even four different ways to do exactly the same thing in InDesign. And Adobe does this obviously for the reason that if it's just one way and the only way, it's going to be very hard to remember. It's going to make your life way more frustrating, your work way slower. So if we have the ability to do the same thing in three different ways, our brain and however way that you learn things, it's going to be much more conducive to a variety of different people and how they function and how they work, their workflow is. So first of all, I want to show you preferences. Now, I will start that in the next video.